All right, we are live and we are here. We thank everyone for joining us today for 22.2, our virtual chat with the GSOM chat series. What is agriculture? So let me start with who I am. I'm Shatara Weaver, and I am the Vice President of GSTEM Inc., also Head of Engineering. And so we're excited to have you here with us today. So I'm going to start really quickly with giving you a little bit of information about GSTEM Inc., just in case you haven't heard of us. So we are advocates and mentors for girls. We have the desire to accept the challenge to help those girls who want to become STEM professionals. We share the fundamental skills needed for girls to be prepared and successful in STEM-based careers. We have professionals with backgrounds and roles in the field and aid them to reach their dreams. We ensure that each girl has exposure to resources, develop transferable skills, and the mindset to be a STEM professional. We know it is our ability and it is in their ability to be able to adapt and to provide them with the opportunity which leads to innovation in organizations that are waiting on them to arrive. So our mission is to instill confidence, determination, critical thinking, and teamwork while molding the minds of girls for the future of true innovation. So we're excited to have you here. A little bit about our GSTEM chat series. So GSTEM chats is a 30 to 60-minute segment that we do throughout the year. We do it once a month. And we have professionals come on to share their STEM and business career journeys. So this includes their career roles, their aspirations, any successes or challenges that they face in their career paths. So today, I'm excited. Woo! We have Aissa Good with us here today. And I'm going to share a little bit of information about Aissa. So we'll kick it off with her bio. How about that? Aissa Good serves as the Managing Director for the Center for Food and Agricultural Business and the Center for Commercial Agriculture in the Department of Agricultural Economics. In this role, she provides a strategic vision and leads the execution of all operational aspects of the centers. She is also responsible for identifying engagement opportunities, managing client and sponsor relationships, and designing and implementing professional development programs for farmers and agribusiness managers, both domestically and overseas. More specifically, Aissa cultivates client relationships and leads curriculum development in collaboration with client management and program faculty. Projects under her direction range from multi-session business management development programs. Sorry, looks like I went out there, unfortunately. Sorry about that, guys. Let me go back. So more specifically, Aissa cultivates client relationships and leads curriculum development in collaboration with client management and program faculty. Projects under her direction range from multi-session business management development programs to workshops enhancing key account management and market strategy planning skills of field sales and marketing personnel. She has worked with highly successful agribusiness firms and industry associations and understands the challenges that both small and large companies face in developing their future leaders. Aissa holds a bachelor's degree in agricultural business from Middle Tennessee State University. Most recently, she completed her Master of Science in Agricultural Economics from Purdue University, Boiler Up, and her MBA from the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. She and her husband, Ryan, have two boys, Blaine and Brecken, and she spends most of her spare time at athletic events and 4-H activities. So let's welcome Aissa to our chat today. Thank you so much for being on. We're so excited to have you.
Well, I am really honored to be able to join and share a little bit about agriculture, which I am very passionate about. And so I'm excited. Getting ready for this discussion was so much fun that I can't wait. So fire away.
Yes. All right. So let's kick it off. So what exactly, or how would you define agriculture, and why do you think it's important in our everyday lives?
Well, you know, there's that saying, no farms, no food. And so I think that that is critically important. And something that we all need to think about. And not everybody has an opportunity to see agriculture at the production level, right? Where the food is grown, the animals are raised, and some of that. So, that's in a pretty simple nutshell why it's important, right? We're moving towards what, 9 billion people by 2050, and they all got to eat. And so there's pretty much one way to do that efficiently.
Yes.
So
love it. That's actual and factual. These are the things that we need, the essentials
yes.
for our lives. So
yeah.
I love it. That's so great. So tell us a little bit about where you currently work and your role there.
Yeah. So I work at Purdue University, and as Shatara said, in the agricultural economics department, but I work not with undergraduate or graduate students. I work with professionals who are out in industry that are looking for continued education opportunities and that lifelong learning, right? That's really where we focus. And so working with agribusiness companies on making sure that their employees are prepared for the challenges that not only they're facing, but their customers are facing. And so we spend a lot of time really working to understand challenges at the farm gate, and how can we help professionals better serve and bring value to farm customers. So we do that working with faculty at Purdue, but also across the country. We work very closely with individual businesses to kind of dig in and have a look under the hood of what's the challenge that they have right now. Maybe they've just gone through a merger and we're working to bring two organizations together, and so culture is really important. Or it's time for a strategic plan. And so we facilitate that process of helping them get to that plan. And it's not about telling them what they should do, but asking them the questions that make them stop and think. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable, because a lot of things we all want to do is be able to say, yep, I've checked that off the list. Check, check, check. I'm moving on to the next thing. And these things are hard. And so it's a lot of fun. I have been at the university for over 20 years. Sometimes I don't like to say that, but I'm really proud of that. And one of the things that I love about my job is I have an opportunity to work with firms across the entire value chain of agriculture. So when we think about, what are some of those buckets, right? I talked about farming to begin with. That's one part, but then there are all kinds of businesses that support that production. And so if we think about equipment, what are they producing, right? There's got to be the seed that goes into the ground, the products that help that seed reach its highest yield possible. So fertilizer, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides. At the same time, now we're trying to do more with less, right? How can we use less chemicals? Maybe it's GMOs or CRISPR technology that's digging into the seed so that it can, withstand drought or heavy weather or have a shorter growing cycle. All of those things these companies that I'm working with are working on.
Wow.
In addition, we've got equipment companies like John Deere.
Big one.
Yeah, but they're digging. It's not just about the big tractors and combines. It's about this very specific technology. So there's a sprayer that has the special camera lens that is picking out the weeds and only spraying those as it's going down the field at a clip of about 8 miles an hour. And so much more efficient in the product that they're using, right? So not overusing the products, which is good for the environment, but also good for the bottom line for the producer as well. Those are just a couple of things. And yeah, I just feel very strongly about the industry, and there are so many opportunities, and having grown up in it, but also working for the last 20 years. I was sharing with Shatara earlier. Yeah. I was just in Kansas City at a conference for grain equipment handling the industry. So those that are taking the grain from farmers and maybe they're milling it for animal feed or for flour or whatever it may be. So that was kind of the audience.
Yeah.
People that are bringing equipment in, a lot of engineering firms were there. I learned about things that I hadn't even thought of. So it's just always something new, and stuff is coming at a really fast pace.
Yeah, and I love that, because I feel like not everyone really knows all that goes into growing our food, raising livestock. They just don't know, and that all of these different pieces are working together to make it more efficient, to improve yield, you know, to help us get things faster. I love it. So I love that you talked about that. And I hope it's like really triggering some things in our viewers' minds about the possibilities that are in the space. So you talk a little bit, and I'm gonna skip ahead. I have like a ton of questions and they're all like coming to me. So you talked a bit about growing up in it. So was this always something that you wanted to do, or how did you find your way to your career?
Oh gosh, I am not sure that I ever thought about anything else.
Okay.
I grew up in rural West Central Indiana, so smack in the Midwest. My family farmed until I was in 8th grade, and then just some things that didn't quite work out, and we sold the farm. But I always stayed with one foot in agriculture, and so before that, I was very active in 4-H. So I am a 10-year 4-H member, and that had a huge impact on.
And talk a little bit about 4-H, if you can, viewers that may not know what it is.
Yeah, so 4-H is an organization where it's not just about agriculture and farming or livestock. That's where I had the bulk of my experience, but it's really a leadership development opportunity, and also skill development. So through 4-H, you can, there are projects, and I think there's probably like at least in Indiana, there's over 200 projects that you could do. There's everything from computer science to rocketry to cake decorating and gift wrapping. I did electricity because my grandpa said he'd help me. You know, that was fun for a year or two. And then I was like, this is way beyond my skill level. But all of that to say, there's something for everyone. It's not just for someone that has an agriculture background, but really what they're looking to do is really helps with responsibility. You know, there is a junior leader program. So these are, you know, as you go through and get a little bit older in that 7th to 12th grade range, there's an opportunity to take on leadership responsibilities and help bring up the next generation of 4-Hers. There's record keeping that goes along with it. There are speaking activities, all kinds of things. It really just depends on what are you interested in and what do you want to do, right? There's nutrition stuff that they have a health and nutrition project.
Wow.
All kinds of things.
So you just knew from 4-H and from, you know, your life that this is where you wanted to go.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the other huge impact for me was FFA. And so I started that in high school. It was a really easy transition from 4-H. And for me, FFA was where I really built my confidence in getting up in front of groups and speaking, just learning things that I didn't really know. I did stuff like soils judging and horticulture identification.
Ah, nice.
I still have to buy the app if like we bought a house and I have no idea what the plants are, and texting them to my mom wasn't effective. And so we paid for the app, and you take a picture and, oh, it's okay. I knew what a hosta was, but that's the only plant I can think of right now. That didn't stick with me so much. But what I really ended up doing and what took me through college was I judged livestock in 4-H and FFA, and that took me livestock and horses and helped get me through college.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. That's really awesome. And FFA, for those that may not have heard it before, what is that?
Yeah, so FFA is, well, it used to be called Future Farmers of America. It is no longer called that because it is so much more.
Gotcha.
And I mean, it's really just what we were talking about today. Agriculture, yeah, it starts with growing food, fuel, and fiber, but there are so many other things that go into it. And so what it really is a leadership development organization that has very deep roots in agriculture.
Love it. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So some really cool organizations out there. And I remember when I was younger, I remember seeing folks that were in FFA and 4-H. And when we would go to competitions or like these big events, I remember seeing them with their logo blazers. I'm like, wow, what are you guys? What are you guys?
Yeah.
They look really official. They look very professional. And so I love that you talked about the piece where there is some leadership development in there, especially for young people, learning to be able to present themselves to people and present information. So that's really awesome. That's definitely something we talk about in GiSTEM, how super important that is. So I love that. So definitely check those out, guys, if you have.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So let me see. What would you say is the coolest project that you've worked on in your field?
That is a really hard question.
we come straight with it, some tough ones.
So I'm going to tell you about something that I hope I get to do.
Okay.
So, through the pandemic, so let me back up just a step. When we do educational programs for 30 some years, the center has always delivered in an in-person environment. So people come to the classroom, we put faculty in front of them, and it's just like y'all are at school, right? And that's how we bring folks in. Yep. So when the pandemic hit, just like high school, elementary school, y'all had to go virtual, we had to go virtual with our programming. And so we got to know Zoom really well. How do you use Google Sheets? If you guys have Canvas at your school, that's what we use for courses that we're working with companies on. So that transition we learned a lot really quick. So there's that. But two, people have come around to say, gosh, online is not that bad. Look at how much more I can do. Absolutely. And so I had a call with a major ag company a couple of weeks ago. And actually right before we started, I was setting up a follow-up meeting. And what they have, it's a multifaceted company, but they have a technology piece. And so it is one where it's helping farmers get down to a very granular level of understanding their field. So plant performance, soil quality, nutrition content, all of those things. But in addition to that, it has a record keeping component that they can use from a business decision-making perspective.
Wow.
What we find is there are, just with everything, right? Some people are much quicker to adopt new technologies. I'm sure everybody here knows somebody that still has an old flip phone, you know,
Right.
that's got the buttons that you actually have to push. Those I would call laggards, right? They are the last one they're going to dig their heels in, and I am not changing. And then you know that person that when the new iPhone comes out, they're going to be the first one to get it.
Right.
And so we have the early adopters, and then you have everybody in between, and those that are kind of sitting back watching. But one of the challenges that this company is having is getting people's mindset to shift to see the value that this technology can bring, not just to the production side, but to their business as a whole. And so there's that, right? Okay, this is thinking about human behavior and mindset shift, and it's a culture change, not only for internal employees, but for the customer. And so it's a multi-layered project. But the thing that is terrifying to me, but also exciting, is this company brought in a third-party vendor to do gamification. So taking what we're going to put together from a content and curriculum perspective and putting it into a game. Yeah. So if we can do that, this is going to be really exciting. I know I can't even play a video game, right? Like, I think Candy Crush is about as good as I can do. So to say I'm terrified is probably the world's largest understatement, but I'm really excited about it's really going to stretch us. You know, I think the other thing that I love about my job is I've been able to travel all over the world, frankly, but I get to meet these farmers that are doing amazing things. I had an opportunity to go to South Africa a few years ago. And I had never been to a carrot farm. I knew nothing about carrots.
I didn't know about carrot farms.
Yeah, so you can't grow 2 crops of carrots back to back. So you have to do something else. So this farm,
replenish the nutrients in the soil.
Yes. Yes. So what they did, grow the carrots, and then they have cattle that come in on top of that, right? And so you harvest the carrots, cattle come in, they spend a year, but this company had vertically integrated, and they were selling whole carrots. But then there's also, as you go through that process, there's the uglies, right? The ones that don't make the bag. And so they were producing shelf-stable carrot juice with the uglies. And the interesting, it's like the stories. So this guy had nothing, like absolutely nothing. They were sleeping on some friend's couch, like had the clothes on their back, and grew to this massive, really sophisticated business. And so it's like, 1, how did you get there? 2, just the ingenuity that came with this, and just thinking about how can I continue to get more, to do more with what we have. And so it's, they were kind of on the forefront of some of this shelf-stable technology, you know, all of those things.
That is so awesome. I love that. I love that you talked about the ability to be able to travel and visit different places in your job. I know one of the things that we've talked about with our girls, you know, is that some of these jobs really do allow you to do some of that. And if you've never had an opportunity to leave where you are or visit other countries, a lot of these amazing technical careers and business careers that we have allow that.
Yes.
That's really exciting. Wow. And then carrot farm.
I know. And I grew up in corn and soybean country. And so, you know, even just getting to go to the West Coast and just see strawberries for miles. And it's kind of like jaw-dropping, at least for me it was. And I know you all have on the East Coast, there's a lot of vegetable production there. And so you're probably, you're not as blinded to it as what I am, because it's just corn for miles. And yeah.
I will say
Anyway.
that when I went to Indiana, being from Virginia,
Yeah.
it was a lot of corn. There was
And
a
it's
lot
kind
of
of flat.
It's very flat. I just, that is so funny that you mentioned that. I actually said that to my parents when they dropped me off at Purdue. I said, so flat. You can see for miles. It's
You
so
can.
crazy. But I love, like, in our country, even in our country, you can just go to another state and it looks totally, totally different topography than where you're from. So that's really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. And, I want to go back when we were talking about 4-H and FFA. Those two organizations afforded me an opportunity to travel as well. And so those are national organizations that have, they have state and local, state and national activities. And so it's, and it doesn't have to be FFA or 4-H, but I think it's find something
Absolutely. Yes.
Gives you an opportunity to experience something different.
Yeah.
To go places. Even in college, I judged livestock, and that took us all over the country, all over. And I spent a lot of time in a 15-passenger van, a lot of time with some people that I think, man, how did we survive that? But I wouldn't trade it for anything. But back to FFA, right? Like, I had some opportunities to go to Washington, D.C. That's probably not that exciting for you guys, but it was for a girl from Indiana.
Still really cool. It's still really cool.
But then, it's bringing together, there were individuals from all 50 states that were there. And so just making connections and starting that network, I think is really important as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And, like, the fact that you can start that network as a young person and carry that through your career, I love that. That's great advice. Great advice. Yeah. All right, so let me see what other amazing things. We've talked about so many great things.
We have.
But let me ask you one question we talked about a lot of the positives, but what would you see are some of the, downsides of working in agriculture? Do you see any? Are there any challenges?
Oh, gosh. Well, I would be lying if I said that there wasn't, right?
We have challenges in everything, right?
Right. I think we do. And we're all friends here. I'll just say it. It is and has not traditionally been a women's industry. And I think it is headed that way. I am not probably the best person to address that because I've grown up in it, right? And so it's not something that I let kind of stand in my way, right? It's, you're coming into it. You just kind of got to stand toe to toe and be confident. And I think that's the part of it, right? It's not oh, woe is me. It's, hey, here, I'm confident that I know what I'm talking about and that I understand and I can bring value. And Absolutely. So I think it's focusing on how can I have an impact, not necessarily what's getting in the way.
Love it.
And so that is something, but I would say don't let that be something that's like, oh, that's not an industry I want to go in. I'm telling you, it would not be, it is there. It is what it is. It's changing, right? Just for an example, in the College of Agriculture, we are, I think, it's either 55 or 56% female.
Okay.
Across the College of Agriculture at Purdue, and it creeps up 1% to 2% every year. And that we have 11 different departments in our College of Agriculture.
Oh, wow.
So it is, we have food science, we have agronomy, plant pathology, biology, ag systems management, which is engineering for the ag group. And it's actually #1 in the country. Our ASM program. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. We have a vet school, we have animal science, you know, like all of those things. So it's not just ag econ, that's across the college. And so I think that's something that Purdue has been really focused on, is really working towards that, but also in a very equitable way, right? So we're all coming in at the same level. And, you know, yeah. What was the second part of the question?
So I just
Challenges?
asked, yeah, but that I think that covered both actually. So yeah, no, I think that's great.
So I think the other thing that I'm hearing a lot from companies is there is a challenge in finding employees, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
I think that is something. One of the things, I actually have a meeting tomorrow where we're bringing together, I have about 12 farmers from across the Midwest. Okay. And then we have about 10 industry representatives from, I have Case IH, Syngenta, Farm Credit, Mid-America. There's a couple others, but what we're coming together to do is really one of the focus areas, and what we're going to spend some time in some breakouts on, is what are the skills that you need employees to come in? And it doesn't matter whether that's on the farm or in an ag business, that you need them to come in with. And I think, you know, what a couple of things that I hear is the data analysis. So that analytics piece is something that is continuing to be more and more important, right? So we have all of these, I talked about that opportunity where they have the farm management platform kind of system, but it's got all of this data is feeding into it, right? So purchase decisions, product performance, productivity, all of those things feeding into it. It's overwhelming for salespeople, for farmers to say, how do I take this and pull those important things out that are going to help me make better decisions? And our director of the center, Scott Downey, he's a professor that leads the agricultural sales major, but also the sales major for the university as a whole. So he sees 400 students a semester in his sales class.
Wow.
But what we are going towards is industry is going to, and it's not just ag, it's everywhere. It's going to need half the salespeople that we have needed in the past, and those need to be replaced by data analysts. So those that can really dig in and understand and distill it down for those of us that don't get it and say, these are the big things, right? So it's not only being able to dig into the data, but it's making that connection to the business challenges and decisions that need to be made. And so how do you bring those two things together? And it's those that can keep up with technology and advances that are coming there. And I don't even want to pretend like I know what that's going to be, but that's what it is.
I love that. I mean, that is like really interesting. And hey, guys, you heard it here first. Less sales, more data analysts. Get ready, it's coming.
Well, and you know, here's what I would say. It's the person that can bring those two together.
Oh.
Right?
Nugget.
So,
love it.
Yeah, then they're going to be even higher, right? I think because there's the element of you got to be able to sell somebody on why the data is important and what it tells us and some of those things. So yeah, it's, I agree with Scott, but I think you've got to have a little bit of both. And so I think more it's pushing the salespeople or those that have a desire to be in sales, that
we're down that data path.
Right. It's not just about the relationship and the feel good. It's about understanding the business challenges, whatever you're selling. whoever your customer is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. That's cool. That's awesome. All right, I'm going to stick a pin in it for just a second so that we can do a quick commercial on our GSTEM Week 2022. I know you guys want me to get back to this awesome conversation. I will, just give me a second. All right. So GSTEM Week 2022 is coming up. We're calling it Girls Revolutionize. So it will be July 11th through July 15th. That's when we'll be doing our virtual learning. And then on July 16th will be our presentation day. So during that time, all the students that are participating are able to share what they've been talking about. So just a little bit about GSTEM Week. It's a week-long program where we focus on STEM plus business subject days each day, okay? So each subject focus day will have a professional from that field discuss their career journey, including their roles at their company and what their responsibilities are, and any challenges or advice that they may have, kind of like our GSTEM chat today, but it's a focused time period where our participants are able to do that one-on-one and ask questions, okay? And so the participants will be exposed to hands-on activities and a real-world problem to teach foundational STEM skills and business skills. So the skills will involve group projects. Yes, we do group projects because it is so needed. You need to know how to do that. That allow the participants to create and present their innovative solutions to their guardians, to any of our sponsors that are participating, as well as all of our volunteers. So that will happen at the end of the week. Okay, so we're still accepting rising 8th through 12th grade girls into our program. So don't miss it. The GSTEM Week 2022 application is still open. You still have a little bit of time to do that. Don't miss, let me, one more time. Don't miss it. Don't miss this opportunity, all right? We have lots of applications already in, and we will be selecting our girls soon. So get your application in there, okay? All right, fantastic. All right, so back to our previously scheduled programming. We're gonna bring that awesome Aissa Good back in, okay? So let me see, let's see.
That's one thing.
Sure,
This GSTEM Week.
Yes.
That presentation and group work.
Yes.
This is, it is, do it. I think that, just do it.
Yes.
If I can say any, every opportunity that you have to do something like that. So not only are you going to maybe meet people that you haven't met before, you're going to learn something from each other. You're going to be challenged to learn how to work with people that you don't know and influence them and have some, that negotiation piece. But I think the other thing that we don't want to forget is those things are resume builders. And as you get ready to do scholarship applications, college applications, all of those things, these are the types of things that they're looking for. What are you doing outside of the normal, right? To show initiative, that you've been already thinking about these communication skills, that group work, all of those things. So it's not just about the here and now. It's looking at those opportunities for how are they going to help me develop as a person. But let's be honest, you got to look good on paper.
You do.
And it's really important. So these are opportunities that it's right there. Do it.
Do it. Now.
Okay, back to the regular program.
All right. Hey, I love that. Can we just take you everywhere we go, Aissa?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be left out after this, but that's okay.
I love it. Okay. All right. So at GSTEM, our mantra is to instill confidence, to influence critical thinking, and inspire the next generation of women in STEM. By doing this, our goal is to increase diversity of girls in the future of STEM and other professional careers with their technical skills and showing them where that can be applied. A little bit just like what you've talked about just now. That was like, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was the perfect flow into this. So why do you believe that it's important for girls to be at the table when we're talking about agriculture?
Oh, I don't think it matters if we're talking about agriculture or anything.
Or anything. Why is it important for girls to
Yeah,
be at the
I,
table?
okay,
Women.
so there are
Us.
studies, and I am not good at the details, but we are better critical thinkers than men most of the time. So number one, I think that that's something. We any of us bring a diversity of thought to the table that is really important.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it matters if it's ag or if it's not. Here's the other thing. If you don't have an ag background, even better, because you're not preconditioned to, well, this is the way it's always been done. We need people that are going to come in and say, why are you doing it this way? Have you thought about X, Y, or Z? And I think actually probably that is the more critical reason why.
Wow.
And so I would say, don't let that, hey, I don't have an ag background. That stuff's easy to teach and it's easy to learn, right? All you have to do is be willing to learn. I don't know anybody that's going to go into something. You probably have maybe one thing that you may feel really comfortable about that you could say, yeah, that's what I want to do because of summer jobs that you've had or internships or something like that.
Right.
But how many of us, if, for example, we wanted to be a banker, I'm not sure many of us would have an opportunity to have much experience at a high level before taking that job. So you're going to have to learn that. So don't be afraid of going into an industry. I don't care if it's ag, if it's manufacturing, if it's in a pharmaceutical company, it doesn't matter. I think it's, do I have the skill set to do the job? I can learn the company, I can learn the customer.
Yeah.
I think it's, am I confident in my knowledge of the task or job to be done? I think that's the thing to focus on.
I love that. That's great. That's awesome. Great advice. So you've already given so much amazing advice to our girls today. I would love to talk a little bit about what you like to do outside of agriculture. So what are some other things that you enjoy doing?
Oh my gosh. Well, Shatar had mentioned I have two boys. And my husband, prior to his career today, was a high school math teacher and a head football coach for 20 years. So
wow.
I like to go to football games.
Nice.
And I have a bag of cowbells that I bring, and I embarrass everyone that sits around me. You guys are probably shocked that I'm a little loud. And so that is fun. But I also like to cook.
Nice.
And that's something that we do as like our whole house. Everybody cooks. So it's not just one person. And then I spend a lot of the summer working with my boys with their 4-H animals. And
nice.
My oldest is 20, and so he's out of high school, but he is farming. So they farm about 5,000 acres of corn and soybeans. And then he has a herd of show pigs.
Really?
So, yes. And he sells these pigs from coast to coast. And he actually, so it's a proud mom moment. He just had a pig that he sold in Florida, won this big show this weekend. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Sometimes, I get to go clean out the pens. So I actually like doing that because then I can feel like I've accomplished something. Doesn't smell great, but some days you just need that. Like cleaning your room to feel like, hey, I've accomplished something today.
Yes, that's true.
When sometimes you just want to procrastinate doing the stuff that you got to do.
Right.
But look, I've done this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that
And
is
I like to go on vacation. That's the other thing.
Hey, we love vacation.
Yeah. And I like to go on cruises. So,
Oh, are you
yeah.
gonna go on a cruise this year? Are you thinking
Well,
about that?
yes, ma'am.
Nice.
We went on one in January,
Okay.
and we have one for December.
Fun.
It's a long time between cruises, but yeah, something to look forward to. So,
Right, right. I love it. That is awesome. So, wow, that's really cool that your son does. Wow, wow, that's so
yeah,
cool.
it's
Okay,
fun.
I love it. That's neat. Not had heard that before, so that's really cool.
Well, I was like, do I have a picture close? Because I would share it, but I think it would take us too long because, I don't know. Anyway.
We'll have to get one from you and share it with the
Yes.
viewers because
Yeah.
that sounds really cool. So
Yeah.
I have just one more question.
Okay.
And so my question is, do you know of any internships or anything like that that we could share with the young folks? Or I know you've talked a bit about 4-H and you've talked about FFA. So if there are any other organizations that you think that they should look into, we'd love for you to share that.
Well, my knowledge is a little limited. I think, do you guys have junior achievement?
We do.
stuff?
We do.
Yeah.
We do have that here.
So I think that would be one. I mean, I really think if it's student council, if it's honor society, if it's find your passion, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe it's a cooking club. It's hard to say, but
Yeah.
I think it's anytime, maybe it's something with a church group or a youth organization. Whatever really drives you is what I would push towards. Now, when you get to college, there are so many opportunities, right? You can find anything, at least at Purdue you can.
Yeah,
but
I would agree with that.
I think it's be mindful not to overcommit, right? So
that's good advice.
I think it's find one or two places where you feel comfortable. Maybe it's Girl Scouts, right? Like, I don't know. But it's find something that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other thing. So this is a nugget.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know, Shatar, if you have been in a leadership position of an organization where you've had to use Robert's Rules of Order from a meeting perspective.
No, tell me more.
Well, so this was my favorite thing in FFA. It was parliamentary procedure. And so you have to follow Robert's Rules of Order for making a motion. You have to get the second, like the whole process. And what if amendments? How do you vote on those? All of that stuff. That has come in more handy than I thought. It blew my mind. Like, understanding this process, and there was a handy little book that goes with it, but sororities, associations, all of those things use this meeting procedure and process. And so I didn't do sororities. That was probably a little more social activity than I needed. For someone that's an extrovert, it was too much for me. Yeah, so I feel like I have said do everything. Don't do everything.
But you did. Here's the thing though. You said don't overcommit though. So do the things, but don't overcommit. So find a couple of organizations or topics of interest to you and give them a try. And you don't have to stay forever. You can
give it a good try.
Give it a good try.
Yeah.
I love it. I give it a good try. I love that. That's perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Well, we've had a great chat today. I know I have. I've enjoyed this. I know the audience has. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Aissa. This was amazing. And so I just wanted to say, guys, hey, We do these chats monthly, so we totally encourage you to come back for our next one. Our next GSTEM chat is actually going to be 22.3, and it's called It's in My DNA. So we'll be talking about DNA. You gotta
that sounds exciting.
It's going to be on April 26th, at 7 p.m. So same time, same place, just on April 26th. So we'll see you there then. So everyone, we appreciate our guest Aissa for being here and taking the time to speak with us today, and our viewers for tuning in. If you haven't already, please, please, please follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the places at GSTEM Inc. If you have any questions or if you would like to know more about our organization, please take a look at our website. That is www.gsteminc.org. And we cannot wait to see you at our next GSTEM chat. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Bye, everybody.